Welcome to the Gunpla Network. I'm Murdoch, and this is 5 Minute Mecha, where... Wait. Hold up. No. This one's going to be a while today. So, more like... 10-Minute Titans. Today, we're looking at... the RX-78GP01 Gundam Zephyranthes. And the full burn-in. Before I go on a rant about how terrible a protagonist pilot Kou is, we're going to run through the machine. And before I do that, well... if you like getting content like this from us here at Gunpla Network, please give us that thumbs up and ring that bell while I introduce a segue to... today's sponsor is Canadian Gundam. Looking for that next kit or tool to complete your collection? Canadian Gundam's got you covered. With a vast selection of Gunpla, plamo kits, paints, and tools, you're sure to find what you're looking for. And then you have their flat rate shipping across North America and private warehouse options. But wait, there's more. Take advantage of the discount code Gunpla Network for 10% off your entire order at checkout. The GP01 was the second Gundam machine in the set of 5 created by Anaheim Electronics under the Gundam Development Project in the years following the One-Year War. As I previously mentioned in the GP02 video, the project saw Anaheim absorb Zeonic into its corporate fold and use their knowledge and research to further develop mobile suit technology for the Federation. Kinda like how the new powers of the world took the scientists from the former bad guys and put them to work sciencing for places like DARPA and NASA and the like after World War II. The GP01 was built to be that general or all-purpose use machine and be a step forward from the RX-78-2. Most of the visual similarities are skin-deep only. Most of them. Still first-generation machine. The Zephyranthes originally was shipped down from the moon to Torrington Base in Australia for terrestrial testing, as in ground and submersion trials. Then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Some jerks under this guy Delaz's command, in particular one Anavel Gato, decided it would be the perfect opportunity to steal the GP02A and make a mockery out of Earth Federation ground troops while they were at it. Enter a fresh-faced brat out of military school who has no business in the pilot seat of a Gundam that quickly, deciding in the moment of the crisis to commandeer a mobile suit he didn't even have the security clearance to even know about and try to give chase. And that's the really, really short and dirty version of how Stardust Memory started. The GP01's base armaments include the bog standard 60mm head Vulcans, Anaheim's Blash XBR L83D DU number 2 beam sabers, and the BOA experimental M8205H beam rifle, which, let's face it, is Gundam's pew-pew giant robot version of an M4, with a beam bayonet, so that makes it cool. The rifle was revolutionary because, unlike previous beam rifles, which needed to be recharged with both energy and megaparticles, this rifle would introduce what would become a widely adopted magazine system called EPAC, providing future hand-carried beam launchers with extended use like never before. Gee. Need a magazine for bullets, use EPAC for beam weapons. Awesome. Other weapons the GP01 has been confirmed to operate include the EFF standard 90mm bullpup machine gun, its own hyper bazooka, and the Yashima Heavy Industries FHX 180 180mm cannon on the ground, and the hand-carried missile launcher originally used and by the Aqua Gym, because guess what? There's an aquatic mobility package for this machine too. So that brings us to our next little tidbit about this machine. It had special equipment and loadouts, after all. It needed to be able to do all the jobs, at least in some capacity. Much of this comes from the new and ongoing Mobile Suit Gundam 0083 Rebellion manga, which expands on the extremely condensed events of Stardust Memory. The GP series machines, with the exclusion of the GP02 and the GP04, have the return of the core block system and the core fighter in the form of the Core Fighter 2, which uses the beam sabers as beam guns in core fighter mode. The GP01, as mentioned previously, had its own form of a scuba suit in the form of aqua equipment for underwater mobility via hydrojets, and shoulder pods that held and launched torpedoes. That's pretty cool. Interestingly enough, for the ground portion of the campaign, the GP01 also had a Chobham armor set and gave it the model designation of RX-78GP01 FA. And surprisingly, in this loadout, it looks very similar to the FA-78, right down to the dual beam rifle and the over-the-shoulder rocket cannon. The disappointing part, however, is this configuration would never see the light of day in usage by the GP01. I know, it's really disappointing. That brings us to how we got the real upgrade for this machine. The one everybody loves to talk about. That FB designation. After Anivel Gato had managed to steal the GP02 and take it into space to commit yet another damning atrocity to perpetuate the cycle of violence and hatred, South Burning's mobile suit team, under the command of Captain Synapse on the MSC-07 Albion, gave pursuit, where Kou and the not yet calibrated for space GP01 got absolutely wrecked by a Federation spy undercover as a Zeon pirate known as Sima Garahao. It was time to properly rig the GP01 for space. Finally. And we got this absolute boss-looking upgrade. It should have been called Interceptor, frankly, as far as I'm concerned, but, you know, I'm not in charge of naming these. So, anyway, the full burn-in was the makeover, making this thing one of the fastest accelerating, most nimble first-generation mobile suits in space, capable of 3.16 Gs of acceleration on command. The power output was cranked up on its reactor to deliver over 2 megawatts from the 1790 kilowatts before the refit. It had a bit more mass with the extra bits, but I mean, it had fuel tanks in the legs so it could be out longer. It had a fuller AMBAC system, and the vernier on its backpack let it absolutely dance in space compared to most other mobile suits. If Amuro had ever been put into this machine, I'm personal opinion, I'm pretty sure Stardust Memory would have ended much sooner and far less spectacularly. But he was busy being under house arrest near Cheyenne Mountain at this point. So, I mean, I'd like to point out that Kou actually did one useful thing in the pilot seat of this upgraded machine at least. He made use of its core block capabilities against the Volvero piloted by Zeon Remnant Kelly Lasner, which is commendable. Frankly, that was actually a really cool move on his part, and probably the only reason Captain Synapse didn't have him thrown in the break for his little AWOL stint on the moon right before that happened. The GP01FB would be continually used in the chase to recover the GP02 while breaking the guns of other GP series Gundams along the way, only for Kou to fail stopping Operation Stardust, and both the GP01 and GP02 being write-offs shortly thereafter. And so ends our tale of the GP01. I'd also like to point out at this time that Stardust Memory suffers from the same narrative problems as Raiders of the Lost Ark. In that, Kou did not need to be there, and everything would have happened in about the same manner anyway. There just would have been less pointless and tragic deaths of people that actually made difference. Not you, Kou. I'm talking about the real Federation Chads here. South Burning and IFAR Synapse for 2. There are a couple others too, like I'm sure Lucette Odavi, might have been spared from all of this, but anyway, that's it for this episode. I'll see you in the next one.
Gato!